What's up, you guys? Matt Jablonski here with The Point of Change. Tonight is The Point of Change meets Sandi Miller. Sandi Miller's been a follower of The Point of Change for quite a while. She's a supporter of mine over on Patreon, and tonight she's coming to share her story with us. I'm excited for that. Give me just a second here to get some shares on the board. If you guys would go ahead and click that share button down there, click that like and love button, send some hearts up. Give me a comment. Let me know where you're watching from or a recovery date, something like that in the comments, and I'll give you a shout out here as soon as I find everything here. I got a couple more groups to share this to. What's up, Brendan? How you doing, brother? Patrice Wass, good to see you. Kristen Montag, how you doing? Michael McNeil in the house. What's up, Michael? Lori Scholes, good morning. Good morning. See, I'm so used to that. Good morning. It's 7 p.m. here in Wisconsin, and I'm still saying good mornings. Whatever, man. Whatever. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope you guys are having a good night. Kristen from Minnesota. Right on. Patrice with 22820. Scranton, Pennsylvania. Awesome. Brendan, good man. How are you? I'm doing good, man. Good to have you here. Beautiful day today. Sun was shining. We went to church this morning, hung out with a good friend this afternoon, went for a little bike ride. And now we're here to meet Sandi Miller. That's a freaking awesome thing right there. Yeah, we'll send this out to Pain to Purpose. Of course I will. Why wouldn't I, right? Already getting some chuckles out of you guys. Good. Good. If we can't laugh about me screwing up that it's not morning anymore. Let me see. There's a couple more. Where are you? You ever try to find a group? Can't find a group? Happened to me. One more. Got to share it in my mom's groups, right? My mom has a group here on Facebook, a couple of them. They're called Staff Supporting the Addicts, Friends, and Family. If you guys aren't members of those groups, go check them out, man. It's an awesome group. And the private support group, too. There we go. All right. Let's see what we got here. We got some, Ashley Nicole was 7/24/19, York, Pennsylvania. Right on. Thank you for sharing that with us. Josh and Lori Mutimer are here. What's up, you guys? My Facebook is still showing me that it's doing my intro right now. Wow. I really hope you guys are farther along than that. Let's see. Michael McNeil, hope everyone is having a fantastic weekend. I sure am. Patrice, you too, man. It's not showing me if it's a reply or not, so I'm just going to start reading them. Let's see. Josh, 2/6/2020 in Georgia. Right on, Josh. Thanks for throwing that up there, brother. I appreciate that. Come on down here. There we are. Good. Now it's up to speed. Good. I'll have the comments over here. All right, guys. Well, I won't waste too much more time. Deborah Ramirez is here. What's up, Deborah? I will bring on our guest for the evening, Sandi Miller, guys. She's from the page Abundant Recovery in Jesus. Sandi's been a follower here for a while. You've probably seen her name before. So tonight we're going to hear her story. And everybody throw up every heart in the world for our guest tonight, Sandi Miller.
Hey, y'all. How's it going?
It's going good on this end of the phone. How you doing over there?
It's doing all right on this side, too. Yeah, it's doing good. Yes, and I do know how to spell your name now. I do know how to spell your name now. Yeah, in case y'all haven't noticed, I kind of made a little bit of a blunder and had to get taken care of by Mr. Jablonski.
Jablonski. My name has been spelt wrong a million different ways. That one really cracked me up, though. I was like, Jablonski. That's a good one. That's a new one.
But it really stinks you're on your page and you're the one that's given the announcement, I'm going to be on such and such a page, and you get it spelled wrong. That's not always good.
I got a good chuckle out of it. I really did.
I'm glad.
So how you doing tonight? How's your weekend been?
Hey, it's been pretty good. The rain has been like really crazy over here. About like 45 minutes ago, I got all nice and sunny. I'm like, man, I could be doing this outside, and I'm not. So, but yeah, we're doing good. The dog's locked upstairs, so I could be left alone and talk to y'all.
Right on.
Yeah.
Is that a new microphone you got there?
Yes, it is. You know what? My family is like, they bought me a Blue Yeti and a boom arm. Would you believe it or not? Sandi Miller actually has a boom arm for crying out loud. It's crazy. Yeah, they're like 100% like behind. I'm trying not to see this, behind everything that I'm doing. They want to, you know, so they set me up. I'm actually in my basement right now. We finally set me up. I've been all over the house trying to get good lighting. And so now all I have to do is come down here and plug myself in and go, hey, y'all. And then I'm good.
Perfect. Perfect.
You're
And so
good.
are you going to, you're going to start doing live videos over on your page now? Abundant Recovery in Jesus?
Maddie, I have been.
Oh, you have been. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not start, but I mean, you have, are you going to start doing them a little more often? Are you ramping up or?
Maddie, I've been doing them like once a week for a while.
Once a week?
Oh. Yeah, well, actually, I was doing devotionals on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I went, you know what, this is just too much for me. So now I'm just, I'm doing them on Thursdays and then doing my lives. I just had Amanda Marker on, this week, which was really cool. So I've been trying to schedule people at least once a week. Yeah. Cause I'm like, I really want to work on the stigmas, what's out there. And the best way to do that is to bring everybody on and start sharing stories and, focusing on different areas. Like I know your mom's coming on. We're just kind of nailing down a date. And Patrice Wash. I am so sorry. You know what, guys? I get nervous like the first 5 minutes of being on any live, and it literally takes me 3 or 4 minutes to actually push the live button, even when I'm doing my devotionals, and yeah, we're trying to do that. In fact, I think this week or next week, I'm actually doing Narcan. We're going to be doing the whole educational thing. I've even got my kit over here. So I'm doing a lot of studying and pictures. And so, yeah, Sandy's getting real here. So yeah, we're going to do some educational stuff, again, that's why I'm hoping that people, when they see lives, especially the ones that I'm doing, that you put it on your personal pages. That way, those that aren't in recovery pages, that they'll see it as well. I mean, that's the best way you can do it. You get it out there,
Definitely.
Gotta know it's.
Hopefully people will show up and just start sharing out. That's the best you can do, and
yeah.
And I love your tactic of just, fighting the stigmas by sharing our experience. That's exactly what we do need to do too, and every time I hear somebody's story, and I've said it 1,000 times, but you hear a different story that breaks the standard, or you hear somebody doing it differently and it changes your mindset towards that way of recovery. So it's really good to have those different stories.
And it really has to, and it has to be done. And it really needs to be done, because the ones that have to, we can talk about the stigmas, amongst the recovery community and how much they stink and listing all the ones that are hurting us. But the best way to do this and to deal with it is just education. Let people say that, doggone it, or whatever, that, we have some worth. We can do things out in the community, like what you are. So, and that helps a lot. So, everything that y'all are doing. Hi, Stephanie. Little echo. Is there an echo still?
I don't have one on my end. There might be a slight one every once in a while. It's okay though. I turned my volume down. That might have been messing with it.
Okay, that might have been it. You know what? I probably should put my glasses on so I could actually see comments. So, hi, Stephanie. She's always there. Yeah, make a message. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Make the mess into a message. Exactly.
Yes.
You just had Caitlyn over on your page not that long ago.
I sure did, and it was really cool. She was so excited. It's like, yeah, no one's ever asked me to do a live before, and you could not tell that she was nervous. She told me later, it's like she got halfway through, and she's like, I felt like to relax, but it wasn't until I got halfway through that I felt comfortable. But she was one of those people that you see a lot, like she's, on yours and with you, but we need to be able to see that Caitlyn and others are real people. They're not just that kind of thing. And I really felt like I really felt that Caitlyn really needed to be herself and people to see how special she is, because you see her, all the time, how special she is. So I'm thinking that, maybe she's more comfortable. She'll start coming on and people start asking her more often, because what Caitlyn has to say is important. There's a lot of different facets to her. She was a wrangler. I did not
Yeah.
know that she was a wrangler. I thought, wow, that is really cool. I've got a wrangler on my show right now talking, so, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
she's
know.
working with all kinds of horses in the mountains. She's an amazing woman. She really is. And I love that you said that though, because it is, they see, people have seen her a lot on my page as, Maddie's girlfriend, but they don't see
Exactly.
her as Caitlyn Tanner, her own individual self. And that was an awesome opportunity for her to be there without me, and share her story. And I really thought it was really cool that you asked her to do that. And somebody asked her at the Recovery Ribbon event if she was going to share next year and share her story, and she said she got
Good.
butterflies right away.
Oh, she'll be fine. She'll be fine.
Oh,
I get butterflies all the time, still, but she's really cool. There's some other ones that I'd like to get on that are kind of like on the behind kind of, but you don't really get to know them very well because I want to bring in people. We have all those names, people that are like faces, but not the ones that are kind of like in the background, the ones that make comments, in the things because I don't want people to feel left out or everyone has a backstory, which is my thing. And people need to know that, you know. So
definitely, definitely. It's good to put a face to, because when we're doing these live videos, whether you attend them or make
mhm,
them, in the comments, they're just a profile picture and a name. So when you
yes.
actually get on here and hear somebody's voice and see their face, it really humanizes the whole situation.
Yeah. And it needs to be like there's different names that are already coming up now. Like I have the same ones that come up, which is awesome. I always have the same ones. So I'm trying to like work through them. And I know Brandy is supposed to be getting her recorder together. Yes, that's a private joke. It's a private joke. So we're trying to get everybody, on there. I try to like do different angles. Like with your mom is going to be what it's like to have a son that was on drugs. What was it like? That kind of thing. Someone else had shared, different things. So I'm trying to, but sometimes it's like with Caitlyn, it's like, okay, Caitlyn, we're just gonna have Caitlyn. We'll just hang out. Nothing special to prove or nothing. Just let's just hang out.
Yeah, that was a really good live. I really enjoyed watching that one
It
too.
was good.
Elizabeth asking if I taught you how to spell my name. Yep, we already went over that. We got
Oh,
it.
yes, yes, yes. Do you know what happened?
It's
Is that
Jablonski.
I did, and you know what, y'all? I wrote it down, and I was so proud because when we came in, and I'm like, "Yes, Mr. Jablonski," da da da, and he's like, "No, there's a Y at the end of it." I'm like, "Great, that's
Yep.
that's all
If
we
you
need."
if you get the whole spelling right, most people still end up putting an I instead of a Y at the end. There
Yeah,
actually is,
I
it's
don't know why.
SKY, it's not SKI. But yeah, Jablonski really threw me for a loop, but I loved it. I've heard so many different takes on Jablonski. The one that I hear most often is Jablonowski, which I don't know why
Really?
they add extra letters
That
into it.
doesn't make sense. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Well, I always mess up people's names. Like I said, the first 5 minutes, I'm very nervous. So I don't know how it was that I introduced Amanda, Amanda Walker. I think I just kind of butchered her name. I think Caitlyn's name I actually wrote down so I wouldn't forget it. So I think everybody that I'd been on, it acted like I had no idea who I was bringing on and I was just winging it. But I can wing things. It's okay. We're all,
Oh, that's
like
awesome.
we're all good.
Oh, we got Jenny Lynn Bennett here. Got 7 weeks sober. Right on, Jenny Lynn. That
Awesome.
is awesome. Guys, throw up all kinds of hearts in the comments for Jenny Lynn. That is incredible. Keep coming back, Jenny. Let's just keep pushing through
Mm.
recovery. It gets better. It gets harder. It gets easier. It gets wonderful. That's all I can say.
Yay. Well,
And
we
we
just
got
need
Ashley Nicole with almost 2 years. Right on.
nice.
That's awesome seeing that recovery time.
It's very nice. I think someone just said something really nice about me, and I really want to go back to it.
Let's see.
I don't know. Yep.
Just got a lot of.
Okay. Curtis said that I just said something that made him think and kind of warmed his heart a little bit. I'm really
Oh,
glad, Curtis. I love the fact that I can do that, for people. I really
definitely.
do. Yeah. If
That's
if I
a if just by speaking, and saying something, and you can warm somebody's day up.
Yeah, and that's kind of like part of the devotionals I like doing every week. It's just because you get devotionals, people do them in the mornings and then they do them in the evenings, but there's still some need for people halfway through the day. It's like, man, I'm really having a hard time. Hey, let's go ahead and look up and see what Sandy's going to have, what Sandy has to say. But trying to hit different things this week. Y'all are going to want to be there for this one. It's going to be, why hasn't God healed me during my addiction? Because sometimes we're like in the middle of the addiction and we are like, Lord, on our knees, heal me. What is going on here? And then he doesn't. You still have to deal with it. And the premise that I'm going on, which I probably shouldn't say since I'm going to be talking about it, but it's the fact that maybe he hasn't healed us like boom, right away. But the victory is on the little miracles that are happening. Like you get the little ones and then you get the great big honking ones that make a big difference. So that's kind of, where I'm going on that one.
Right on. Right on. That'll
Something.
be a good message. I'll definitely have to start tuning in.
Yes, you will. Definitely. I've been doing this now for about 2 months, y'all, I think. Yeah, about
Awesome.
2 months. So I'm actually getting a pretty decent following now, which is good because that means that numbers are great. You know what I mean? But it's like, are people actually listening? Are they hearing? Is it touching anybody? And that's what I want because I get to interact with all kinds of people on the comment sections. Like Bradley had said, it's like getting into your own little community. So I'm like, yeah, Bradley's the one that got me into all this.
Yep, that's where it's at too. You'll find your
Yeah.
crowd through it. You'll attract some will fall away, and stop following. Some will, completely unfollow the page sometimes. But I mean, the up and
Yeah.
down, it's kind of an exciting time to watch it all too. So, those numbers, if you're just watching them, just like, oh, wow, this is interesting. It's kind of cool. But when you start getting into them, like worried about the numbers and really watching them and like all that, then it can get overtaking, But I think anybody that does this, if they ever say, oh, I don't worry about the numbers, there's a time or two here and there where you do worry about the numbers.
You're
It's
going to
just
look
part
at
of it,
it
because you see
is.
everybody else posting, hey, I reached 5 million viewers this week and
Oh my
stuff like
gosh, I
that. And
hate that.
you're like, oh, why don't I do that? Why can't that happen? So there is a level of just worrying about it, but it's more of not worrying about the numbers of, look at me, look at me. It's more like, how can I reach more people, and if my
Yes,
message gets
that's
seen
it.
by more people, it reaches more people. So it's, but it takes a lot of learning and everything else, but you're
Yeah.
working on it, and that's awesome. That's what you got to do right there.
Yeah, as long as we can stay off the analytics. I just like to stay off the analytics page. It killed me doing those YouTube videos. And I was like, man, I mean, it just about killed me trying to see the ups and when people, and then to realize that when you watch your own YouTube video, that it actually clicks in and it counts as a view. And one of the videos, I was editing it so much and going back and forth that the video had, like maybe 30 views. I'm like, yes, 30 people. Yes, somebody saw that. Half of them were mine. Half of them were mine. Like, forget about it. And I learned from you, actually, is that when you're doing a live and if nobody shows up right then and there on that live, that people look at it on the replay. And that made a very big difference for me because I knew, okay, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people later on watching it. It's like, you know what? That's what it's about, is getting that message out. If it's not right there in that second, well, it's on the internet. It's never going away.
It's in the cloud now. Exactly.
That's right. Y'all can't escape me. I am here.
And that's what I started, when I started the Point of Change, it was the same thing. If nobody was watching when I was live, that was okay. I just I made sure that I was still active, as if somebody was watching, because somebody watching the replay is going to look for that too. And then there's the thought of, what was I just going to say? Oh, I'm losing my train of thought as I speak. Just the thought of, if nobody shows up, at least I showed up. I showed up for myself.
I like that.
I was
like
there.
that. Yeah, it's good. It's good practice,
Definitely.
because actually you were the one. I mean, Bradley got me started, and then you kind of helped me out a lot because we had gotten on Messenger, remember? And I got you to I got to phone call with the Maddie, which was kind of cool. And you kind of talked about doing the business page and, keeping things separate from your own personal life. And that made a difference. Of course, Chris France helped me out, Friedman France, and, went that way. But you know what I did realize is that even with the YouTuber videos, that sometimes you had people that you kind of put up on a pedestal. Like during the YouTube, it was, you need to do this, 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 and this. And at the end of all your videos, you need to give them a call to action. So it's like, if you like this video, go ahead and press like or subscribe. That way, when the next ones are coming out, because you do, because they're awesome. You need to have this information. I had it very well, very well practiced. But then, I got on lives. I'm like, ooh, Bradley Bagwell, Maddie Jablonski, ooh, all these big names. I'm like, it was like feeling really meek. And then, I got to know you and talk to you. And well, I trolled, going through your sites and stuff. And that it made me better because I knew that the people that were watching and that y'all were just normal people and that it's okay just to be who I am and just move on. I mean, even when I first started doing the devotionals, someone told me I had to relax. Like, oh, okay, great. I thought it was doing really well. Sure, whatever. And then a couple other ones, I'm like, what I do? I need to just chill. So I just kind of, I don't know what I did, but it was some kind of good one. And I think tears were involved. Yeah, tears were involved. And, a lot of people, I think from there, it kind of took off because they want to see people being real, and, this is kind of me being real, and hopefully y'all like it. If you don't, well, that's okay too, because you can't get rid of me. So I am here for good, live people.
That's the perfect attitude to have. Yeah, there's a lot of transparency on, in making these videos. You got to remain transparent, and it's all about just being yourself and leading with love. If you're putting out an energy of love and an energy of positivity, people are going to be drawn to that. If you're up here, and you're not really feeling it, or if you're not speaking from the heart, like especially recovering addicts, we're very intuitive people.
Yeah.
We're very empathetic. We know a bullshitter when we see one. So if somebody's trying to link through a message, it stands out really, really quickly, So I've always said that, just relax and be yourself. Try and remember to take a breath. I know when I first started this page, and sometimes still when I start looking at the storm is what I call it. I start looking at the numbers and I start getting in my own head, and then I'll start talking really fast, and I'm almost talking over top of myself.
Yes, I know. I do exactly the same thing when I'm nervous. I'm like, it's like you'd swear like the New Yorker was kind of coming out of me. So I get the New Yorker Jewish thing just like starting to kind of roll out. Or I get Southern. I get very Southern. I don't know why I do that, but I just do. And, I was told that people, like you said, in the recovery field, when someone is not being honest and not chilling. I'm like, you know what? That's true. Because when I was brought up, like you had to be perfect, you had to be put together, and the whole thing, and that just carries you through, your life, and doing that, and trying to be perfect. That's a lot of responsibility, for a little kid, and then it kind of moves on into the beginning, and then being on drugs, it's just kind of like, I didn't feel like I had to be perfect at all because I wasn't feeling nothing anyway,
Exactly.
so, and that's good. So I had to pull up my big girl pants and do some growing up, and that's helped a lot. Yeah.
And on that note, we should probably get to talking about your actual story. Guys, you want to hit that share button. If you haven't hit the share button, throw up some hearts. If you haven't thrown up some hearts, and we will get into Sandi Miller's life here. So where are you originally from, Sandi?
Well, I was adopted. So I was told that I was born in New York. So I was in an orphanage or foster homes or whatever for about 9 months. So I'm actually from that area. And then, got adopted into an abusive family, and then they were Air Force, so we just kind of moved around, very, very angry with God, very angry. You get on the TV, and I think I watched a show about these girls, and they're talking about how wonderful it was and how glad they were that their parent, that they were saved because they were adopted, and I'm like cursing at the television set, just cursing at them, going, yeah, you guys, you can't be real, because every single person on that stinking show said how glad they were that they were adopted. I'm like, you need to put somebody like me on. You need to put someone on, like, but that wouldn't not be the poster child for, for adoption. So
Mhm.
I don't know a whole lot of people, one, that are adopted, but were adopted into into abusive. I had the whole gamut of the different abuses, but the worst was the emotional and the psychological abuse from all that. Oh, my phone just dinged. So I was a very angry kid. I was also kind of whipped in a way, into submission. You had to be perfect, on the outside. My dad was kind of high up in the state of Delaware, worked a couple offices not far down actually from Biden. I won't get into that. So, I couldn't really tell people that I had been being abused, because I needed to get taken out of the house, but I wasn't, because I knew people weren't going to believe me, and, I'm sure some of y'all grew up with sit in the house, stays in the house. And then because of that, you start feeling a whole lot of shame. So I think a lot of that was what started me in with the addiction, because I had already decided, okay, I'm going to kill myself, and this is what I'm going to do. So I actually had that planned out. Probably, I knew when I was 11 that I wanted to do something about it, but I didn't until I was in college, and we had some stupid argument, me and my mom, and I was just like, okay, that's it. I don't want to live anymore. I'm done. So I worked in a hospital at that point, like really great. So I went to work, and I just had OD'd on some pills, and I'm crying. And I just kind of lied and said, somebody I know died. And it was like, I think about that later. I was like, wow, it's kind of interesting, that had happened. And I ended up getting wheeled like right into the psych ward. The problem is that I've worked in that, like, every part of the hospital, specifically the desk right in front of the psych ward. So I am being wheeled into the psych ward, and I'm like this, like this the whole time. So nobody knows. It was another one of those shame moments. Drank a lot of charcoal, to
Mhm.
do that. And going in there, I remember my counselor came in, and I said, you know what, you leave me alone, and I'm going to do it again. And I was really surprised. It's like I had control over that part of my life, where I had no control, ever. So, being in that hospital, and my counselor finally realizing, wow, you have been so abused. She said, if I knew this was going on and it was 5 years later, I would have taken you out of the home immediately. I probably would have asked for help sooner, but I mean, I still had a brother, and I didn't know what was going to happen, with him if he was at home. So yeah, that's the beginning of my story. Yeah, you asked me where I'm from, and that's stuff that I haven't shared a whole lot on video, just because I've never been asked. I'm kind of much of an open book, but I know that there are a lot of people, that have gone through the whole gamut, of the different abuses, and part of the problem as well is the fact that we have a tendency to compare or abuses, or compare drug addictions. Like, well, mine wasn't as bad as yours. I ended up in the hospital, psych hospital, a lot, because I tried to kill myself quite a few times. And, obviously I didn't do so well at it, which is a good thing. But
A good thing to fail at, that's for
it's a good
sure.
thing. Yeah, it's actually a very good thing to fail. And I always knew that I wanted to help other people, to whatever it was. I thought, I'm going through this at home, I gotta find people that I can help, that know. But I was only like maybe a senior in high school, and you didn't know. And at that point, I was not on drugs, and there was a lot of healing and stuff that had to happen. I got up, and I went to schools, and I did suicide prevention lectures, and it was great. But I still wasn't healed from the inside. And it was kind of killing me, the whole time doing it. Because inside, I'm like, you know what? I need help. I really need help. How am I going to help others? But it was a pride thing. That's why it's doing these things is difficult for me, because I always think, what if I screw up? But we're going to move on to something different, because I feel like I'm starting to tear up. So I should try to spell Jablonski again, and that will make things
take your mind off of it quick.
Yeah, take a drink of water or read a comment or
get a drink. I know that's heavy stuff to talk about. Yeah, we'll say hi to some people in the comments and see how everybody's feeling. Mike says, "Thank you, Sandy, for sharing. You're very brave, and God bless."
Thank you.
Fabian Fernandez says, "Life ain't easy." Amen to that.
I got to hear you on that.
Chase Savage is here, and Bradley Bagwell is here.
Oh, Bradley, my baby. Yeah, there's no love there now, is there?
Oh, Bradley's putting out so much love all the time. So it's just she's a wonderful person to have in your life. That's for sure.
She absolutely is. If you ever Marco Polo, she's so much fun. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to put a plug in here for Bradley Bagwell, whose clean date is actually on the 2nd of June.
She's coming up.
It's coming up. So yeah, that's right. Pam remembered that. Good job.
Awesome, Pam. Tammy Pouliot says, "Yeah, you didn't talk about certain things in my house." Yeah.
Yeah, we had that. There was a lot. It wasn't just like, the abuse stuff. It was just about, it was like everything and anything. They could say what they wanted, but we couldn't. So like I said, we were kind of whipped, not in the, that sense, but just kind of like, my brother nailed it on the head, when my dad died. It was, we were the Brady Bunch family. If y'all looked inside, we looked perfect. I was good at faking a lot of stuff, and it got to the point where I actually didn't know who I was. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're always trying to pretend to be somebody else, it's like I was actually a chameleon, and I knew it very, very well. You could change anything at all. Could you hear that noise that just went off?
Yep.
Somebody just flushed the toilet. Yeah, that's what happens when you're in the basement. Hi, Valerie. It's good to see you. Valerie is one of my girls. I've got like 5 or 6 people that actually are like my prayer warriors. So, they know what's going on and things that I'm going through. Today was, I'm going on with Maddie, point of change, and I'm nervous. So, and, there's people that are your friends, and you don't have to go into great big old long honking detail, about what's going on and how you're feeling. It's just kind of like, hey, this is what's happening, and, pray. Or a lot of times they will just go ahead and go, you got it. Take a deep breath. You're good. So, that is, and I've never really known really what friends were until I got off drugs,
right on.
Because, it's like you look at things so differently, once you're off of the drugs. Like what I'm preaching to the choir, right? I mean, you all know this, but I was surprised because the whole time, like I was on opiates and that kind of thing, I felt like happy because I'd never been happy in my life. But at the same point, I was so far away from the actual concept of God and thinking that, I totally blew it. I was a Christian before I started the drugs and totally blew it. And so it took a while for me once I got off of the drugs to go, like my spiritual eyes, as well as everything else was opening up. And I was seeing, wow, I don't have to be on the drugs in order to be happy. I mean, recovery really was very, very difficult. And some of those friends that I have, the hardest part for me was learning, who am I? Who is Sandi Miller? Not what everyone else wants me to be, and that was important. I needed to know what God said about me, that I'm worthy, that he adopted me. It's like, it's all in like the first thing of Ephesians. Like when you read that, It's like if you insert your name into each one of those things, this I chose you. You were adopted. And that word adopted was never a very good one. But when my eyes started opening up, it was okay, yeah, okay, that's cool. And I don't struggle with that, as much as I used to. Every once in a while I have to be reminded and that kind of thing. But I'm one of the very, very fortunate ones that I didn't have to go. I pretty much God healed me overnight, from the opiates. I never had that. I never had the taste for it or relapse. And which is part of the reason why I didn't really want to start doing lives was because I didn't have that experience that, that people are going through. I don't know what it's like for any of y'all that went through the horrible detox and all that stuff. But recovery really was very difficult. It's like really
Mhm.
hard, like it is for everyone else. And, we all have our levels of what it is that we need to work on. And I know I said it the other night with Amanda, but my heroes are the ones that are going through the recovery, working through the process. And if they fall, they pull them back up by their bootstraps and they're back on the wagon again. Back on the wagon. Is that a term? Yeah.
Yeah, it should
Yeah.
be.
Back on. Yeah, I think it is. But right back up on your horse and get moving again. Those are my heroes, the
Mhm.
ones that are trying, even if you're just being horribly feeling miserable. It's just, if you are clean, just 5 stinking minutes, that's a big honking deal. That's a big deal. So I kind of like to celebrate, those kinds of things. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome too. And I think it's really important that people with a story like yours tell their story as well, because, there are people out there who have to go through that detox. They have to go through that horrible detox or
Yeah.
have been through it. And it's good to have people that have gone through that to tell their story so that the people who are coming into that know what to expect. And the people
Yes.
who have gone through it have somebody to relate to. But there are also people out there just like you who may feel the same way that, hey, I didn't go through that horrible detox,
Mhm.
so it doesn't feel as significant. Like when Caitlyn shares her story, and we talked after the recovery ribbon event because she said, "Well, I feel like my story isn't very significant because, like,
Mhm.
here I am, a 13-year meth addict who smoked until my teeth rotted out of my head."
Yeah.
There was Jonathan Weirick from the Chicago Hope Dealers shared his story, and he's been shot 4 times and stabbed 3 times. And Caitlyn said, compared to those stories, she said, I was just a dabbler. I just dabbled in drugs and then I gave them up. She said, my story feels so insignificant. And I told her the
Yeah.
same thing, that there's probably people out there that are dabbling in drugs and they might feel the same way, that their recovery is
Exactly.
insignificant because they didn't go down the path that some of us did. So I think it's important to have anybody that has a story of a struggle they went through, to share it and talk about it, because you just never
Yeah.
know who's going to hear it and be like, wow, dude, like I've been through that same thing and I've been living with this shame and guilt. And I
Right.
tuned into a video and this other guy says he did it too and he's happy and he forgave himself. So maybe I can too.
Yeah. I think I like to let people know that, I was a Christian before I got into drugs, to give my life to Christ. And I know a lot of people in the drug community that say that that they were that they became Christians or found God while they're in the middle of their addiction or through recovery. But I didn't know anybody that was already a Christian and went in, because there's a different level of guilt that's kind of added in. You get a lot of, well, you're a Christian. You should have known better. Well, why didn't you do that? That's a lot of guilt and shame. It's kind of saying, well, your God isn't big enough or you don't trust enough. There's a lot of those horrible sayings, that go out there. And I know that there were quite a few times that, I took the drugs, I knew I shouldn't have. And then I would come down off it and pray, God, please just get me. I'll never do this again. I promise. I'm done with it. And then 5 minutes later, going right back into finding the drugs that I hid from myself. Does that make any sense? I
It
did.
definitely
I,
does.
I hid them so I wouldn't find them, which is kind of stupid because I ended up searching the house. But I was sure that I had gone past my 70 times 7, where they say you're forgiven, that many times. And It's not exactly what Jesus meant. He wasn't saying you're literally 7 times 7, but
Yeah.
I was never good with math, and that's how my parents thought. Is it took a long time, Maddie, to realize I am not my parents. And but then it's like, wow, so who am I? Once you take that away, it's like, when you get off, when you detox, or, after you've gotten out, that you have to find something to fill that void. And it's got to be a good thing to fill that void. And that took a long time
Hmm.
for me to fill. Because you can tell someone God loves you, as many times as you want to. And it's a nice platitude, but where's it actually get you? It's okay, there's that knowledge. What am I going to do with that knowledge? You know, Show
Amen.
me who's God. Show me what God is to you. Don't give me a platitude, or or just everything's like, just leave it at the cross, honey. Just leave it at the cross. I had no idea what the heck that meant. 'Cause I was like, well, I don't get it. I didn't understand it.
I had the same experience many times in my life with trying to understand God or anything, and people would simply tell me, well, God works in mysterious ways, and I would just be like, "That's such a cop out. I want answers. I want you to
Mhm,
actually show me something. I really need to see it." And I think it's going to be this devotional that you're going into on your page. It's going to be really,
mhm.
really educational and really awesome. That's what I'm really going to have to tune into that this week and check out what
I
you have to say
appreciate
about
that.
those things because. Because that was one thing I had thought of before too in my early recovery because there were times in my active addiction and everything else that I would pray and say, God, take away, please just take away the
Mhm,
depression or take away the addiction or just help
exactly.
me, please. And I so many times didn't get an answer or it didn't happen. And then you hear other people, like especially once I came into recovery and actually started getting involved in the community, and I would hear other people say, that night I fell to my knees and I prayed, God, please make this
Mhm,
stop. And the next day I woke up and I was healed and everything was perfect. And, I found recovery the next day and I just started walking with God. And it left me feeling like, well, why didn't he do that? Like, why was I the one that when I prayed, he just said, oh no, you can keep smoking meth for a while yet, like,
yeah.
and nowadays I understand it better. I won't get into my view on it too, because I really want to hear your view this week on your show. So,
Okay.
but yeah, that's definitely going to be an awesome topic to go into.
Mhm.
So now let's see, after the whole psych ward incident, let's get into your actual recovery. What started off when you started getting clean? When was this all happening?
Be more specific. What is it you want to know?
What's your recovery date? Let's go with that.
Okay, I don't know. I mean, I know I told you it was like, I don't know, it was like the 1st of December or something, just for the purposes of putting my name on your banner back there, and you needed to know it. But I know that it's right around the time that Brian Woodlands was. So we kind of have something in common. Um, things, again, I just feel kind of like I should know that date, but it just doesn't. I think I offended a couple people when I said that the very first time with Bradley. It just, I mean, I actually have to think about what my sober date or, my free date is, but that doesn't mean that it's not important to me. Because I also want to reiterate that when everybody else is sharing their dates, I'm almost kind of jealous because you have that date. Like, I know the date that I gave my life to Jesus. That I can tell you, like, without a doubt. But as far as the recovery process, hmm, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
honestly, that's, hey, I'm not offended by that at all because I know other people that didn't really know
Mhm.
and in our addictions, we were in such a fog for so long, and sometimes when you're coming out of that fog, like me, the only reason I know that my recovery date is February 3rd, 2017 is because it's on my papers from court. Like that was the day I was
That's
arrested.
funny.
If I hadn't have been arrested or and just decided to get clean on my own, which I don't think that was ever going to happen,
Right.
but if that had been the way, I don't think I would remember the date either. That's the only reason is because it's on my court papers. And I've thought about that too. The recovery dates, honestly, some of us have them that are just chosen near a specific time because, you know, we know that we were clean at this time, but we're not exactly sure what the date was. A lot of times people just have picked a date around that, you know, to just say. And, you know, another thing that I've thought of in the past too is, you know, when does your recovery begin? If we actually thought about it, you know, like, because, you know, February 3rd, 2017 was the last time I used meth, but I think my recovery began kind of before that because there were times.
That's what I wanted to say. Exactly. It was before that. That's why I'm kind of like, I don't know how to say that, but
I
you
was
just said it
still getting
perfectly.
high, but I was already working on finding, you know, on getting away from it. You know, it was already in my mind. And that goes back to the old, the theory of Theseus ship, if you've heard that, where there was a ship that was out at sea, a battleship, and it had been out for so long that over the course of its life, every single board, every shackle, every nail has been exchanged and changed for a new part.
Wow.
So the question becomes, is it still the same ship? Or is it a new ship now because everything's been replaced? And there is no answer to this. It's just one of those hypothesis things. So then if you say, well, no, it's a new ship. Okay, well then when did it become the new ship? Was it when the last board was replaced, or was it when the first board was replaced? Was it when it was 50% replaced? So it's kind of one of those situations where, you know, we were gradually changing into the person that we are today. So it's how do you put a date on that? You know,
it's kind of hard. Yeah. You know, I was, like you said, I was going through recovery probably through like the last part of my addiction, because I was going to a Bible study and, you know, learning about God and who I was. But when it got really hard, I went to the bathroom and I got high, you know, like halfway through the Bible study, you know, and I finally told my Bible study leader probably about 2 months ago, and that was about 10 years ago. So, yeah, and I had to tell her that because I felt like I needed to, but also I was getting on a live for a study. And I was just like, I'm going to say this, you should probably know. It's just, we've had enough people through that over the years. It was not that big a deal, you know? So recovery for me was through many, many years. You know, it wasn't, when did I start getting serious? I think that's probably a better thing, is when did I start getting serious? That was probably 2 years after getting off the opiates is when I got serious, because I still was trying to lie to myself, you know, and then I don't know, I did a lot of lying, you know, a lot of lying. And I wanted to know why it was that, again, God did all this, you know, and I'm paying attention. It was one of the things I did on my live last time is we're teaching this little boy that we have living with us sign language because he has speech apraxia. And a lot of times, like, this is the sign for more, but he goes like this, and we understand what he's saying. Sometimes God does that. We are expecting God to do one thing, but he's actually doing something else. But we have the exact same meaning of what's happening, you know, and that's one of those things that I feel really passionate, you know, about, is just God does not exactly do what it is that he wants, that we want him to do, you know, and sometimes that really, I have to pick nice words on here, very nice words.
really stinks.
Yeah, we're going to go with that one. You know, it does, you know, but yeah.
Well, that's kind of God's whole story. Even you know, coming up on Easter, we did Passion Week here on the Point of Change,
Yeah, I know
and
that. Yep.
you know, when Jesus came into Jerusalem, everybody welcomed him in. They were expecting him to save them from the religious and the government persecution that was happening at the time. And then he came in, and as we all know, that's not why he was there. That's not what he was there to do. He was there to save us from going to hell and to, you know, sacrifice
Exactly.
himself for us. So he was there to save them, but he wasn't there to save them in the way that they wanted. So then after coming in, then 5 days later, the same people that were welcoming him into the city were now saying, crucify him, kill him, he's a blasphemer, because he wasn't the God that they expected. He didn't do what they wanted him to do. And I even realized that in my own following of Jesus, that there's been times where I've done that, you know, where he didn't do what I wanted. He wasn't the God that I wanted him to be. So I would start blaspheming and you know, saying his name in vain, or you know, the time that I came to God, you know, and actually found God was the most wonderful example of that, of course, but that's a long story to get into.
Yeah. Well, I did watch all the lives that you did on Passion Week, and I was very impressed by your passion in doing it. I don't know if y'all saw the live that he did directly from church, on Easter Sunday, but you definitely want to go back and watch that. It is absolutely incredible. Also, what really got me was in the very beginning, yeah, I'm talking about you, Maddie. Sorry. I'm going on my little spiel here. So what you want to do is watch it, but especially watch the very first part, because Maddie started saying that he was losing followers and he didn't care. He was losing them because he was starting to talk too much about Jesus. And I gained even more respect for him, for you, in that point. So I would suggest going ahead and watching that. The church service was great. But Maddie was the biggest thing. What he said made the biggest difference, for me. When you are being real, it means a lot to me. And I know it does, to other people. And you've gotten on and you've talked about depression. You've been like really out there. And I think one time, I think you did something and I kind of messaged you and I reamed you out. Do you remember that? I did. You were having a really tough time. And
Oh, yep, yep, yep. Yeah, you
I
pulled the
reamed
mom card on me. That's okay though.
I did, but you never responded. I'm like, oh, maybe I pushed it a little too far. And I thought, yeah, that's okay. It happens, it's,
No,
you
no, it
know,
was actually welcomed. It definitely was. It was just one of those days where I wasn't messaging anyone back.
mhm,
But definitely, I had a few people that have reached out to me, and tough love always it generally works with me as long as you do convey love as well, which you did. So that was wonderful. But
well, you
yeah,
wasn't
that's
you weren't watching anything. I was trying to get a hold of you. So y'all know what I did was on Messenger, there's this wonderful little thing. You push the microphone and it tapes you. Well, that's what I did. I did the mama voice on him. And it's great being at that point in my life where I don't have to be afraid of what it is because someone else was more important in that moment to me. And my thing was, no, he just did not say that. But I got you. So I have a lot of respect for the way that you do this. I
Oh,
really
good.
do.
I appreciate
Yeah,
that. I definitely do. That's, I know that there's people out there that my message isn't for, and that's okay. That
right.
my message kind of has a specific niche to it. I'm a Christian. I speak about marijuana and recovery
Mhm.
and methamphetamine addiction.
Yeah.
So I have a very niche following. The people that follow me are my kind of people. And if ever I find somebody, I don't care if you're a
That's funny.
non-Christian. It's not to say that I don't want non-Christians here or anything. I love all races. I love all religions. It's just, but if my religion, me speaking about my religion makes somebody say, I don't want to hear this and then unfollow my page, good.
Right.
I'm glad you left because I would be fine sitting here listening to someone read the Quran or someone come on here
Right.
and tell me about their Islamic beliefs. I would be perfectly open to listen to that,
Mhm.
So anybody that's got a closed mind to other people's way of living, to me, I just say, okay, that's fine. You can unfollow if you would like.
Yeah. I've got a couple people that have been asking me questions about so does this mean that you're never, are you going to try to convert everybody? And I'm like, no, that's not the purpose of my page. It's not to convert. It's not anything like that. I named my page Abundant Recovery in Christ and Jesus because that's the way that it is. That's just the way it is, And if you don't like the fact that I'm talking about God on my page, well, then you've got a problem because Jesus is in that title at some point. But I'm hoping that people do stay on and learn more about the Lord and in turn learn more about themselves, because that's where I want to see people understand their identity. And I want it, but God wants it even more, you know, because then we can walk in who it is that we need to walk in, and that's my whole thing. And it's, when you're talking about stigmas, sometimes just being your best. I had a really good thought, Maddie, with what I was starting to say about stigmas, and it completely went out my mind.
I
I
I
have
have
no
been
idea.
there. I have been there so many times.
Oh my gosh. Or with when you're doing the lives, you ever notice that sometimes when you start, you're like, oh, I looked really good when I started. And you go back and you look at the replay and you're like these really weird faces. It's like, I tried so hard to look better than that. On YouTube, what you do is you push you push the button and you just kind of smile there for a while. And your first letter, your first word, you don't enunciate. It's hi, I'm Sandy. And then you just that way it's always a first good cut. But I've kind of learned how to stop being so vain on that one. When I first started doing lives, I thought I could edit stuff out. No, you can't do that. It was
I
kind
tell
of
you what,
obvious.
what makes you feel way better is just once a week make a video without your teeth. That's a great way to humble yourself. I'll tell you what. That reminds me where I am and who I am.
That's funny. That's funny. I don't know how I don't know how I can top that one, but I I like being stupid, and I know that sometimes it comes across as Sandy just being stupid, and I'm to an extent, I'm okay with that as long as it helps someone see that someone else is real.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, I do stupid stuff. I can't spell Maddie's last name correctly. On my lives, I ordinarily say something, or I don't get the name of their page or something like that. But I'd rather be stupid in front of other people. I don't. Does that make sense, y'all? Yeah, I think it does. See, I just
Yeah.
embarrassed myself again. Yeah.
No, it's perfectly fine. No, I just mean like, well, me and Caitlyn went live together not that long ago, and right before the live started, I hit the button. We're waiting for it to start, and she says, "I just hope I don't do anything embarrassing." And so when the live started, I was
Oh
like,
no.
"What do you mean?" Well, then we'll just do this,
Yes.
like
Yes.
there. Now,
And you got it.
nothing else we do will be embarrassing after this.
Well, you know what really stinks? I was looking back at some of the lives again that you and Caitlyn did. Do you know that that woman always looks good in a live? The stinking, I mean, every single one. The very first shot, she looks awesome. Like, I need to message her and tell her to stop. She's making the rest of us look really bad. And I'm not saying it just because I really like her. I mean, I'm serious. She's got like that look,
She is
about her.
photogenic and gorgeous, that's for sure. She always looks that good too, even off camera. She's just always
Yeah,
that gorgeous.
I can imagine that. Totally, she's pretty cool. I'm glad that she said that she would be on my show.
Right. I'm glad that
I
you
really
invited her on. That was really awesome. She was pumped about it. And the fact that, and they're going back to the name of your page, she
Oh, yeah,
absolutely
that's right, she
loved that.
did.
Yeah. She like the fact that her first live with someone else other than me was on a page called Abundant Recovery in Jesus. She was like, wow, that was a God moment for her to see that name on there.
That's awesome. I'm really hoping that I'll get to talk to her. I keep hitting my mic. I'm hoping that I'll get to talk to her some more, not necessarily on a live, but I wouldn't mind getting to hear that, Caitlin. I know you're there somewhere. At some point, you'll be hearing this, but I would love to get to know her, a little bit better. And she had said that she worked really hard. She didn't always have time for friends, but y'all know, ladies, guys, just let it go because she's taken. So y'all ladies know that Caitlin is awesome. You saw her on my show. Message, send her some love. Say, yo, beautiful, something like that. So yeah,
There you go. There you go. Oh, go flood Caitlin's messengers.
Go flood, Caitlyn. I really loved listening to her. There are a lot of different people on here that I see their names a lot, like Brandy and Pam and hey, Bradley. Yes, hi, Bradley. And she's still here. That's really
Yep.
cool. That's really cool. I don't think I even texted her to say, "Yo, I'm here." That's one girl that's like really special. I've learned so much, not just the technical stuff, but learned a lot about myself through Bradley and some of the other women. Sometimes I'm feeling like really down and really down on myself, and sometimes they're like, "Suck it up, just move. Oh, just get on with your life." Or when they know that I need like a little bit of a gentle touch, they're very gentle about it, and they'll remind me of stuff that I was trying to avoid. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I need to be strong about this, but I'd rather sit in my room and cry and
Yep. And
do
that's
the,
okay too
do the
sometimes, but then we can't live there, you know?
yeah, I try not to live there because I did that. That's what got me deeper and deeper from being in recovery. You know, it's it was getting off of the drugs. Awesome. It was not taking it was awesome, but it seemed like I spiraled a lot, and always thinking that everybody else had it together, going to women's Bible study and getting high, before I went there, especially the first one, because I was sure I was going to get judged. So I tried to sit right and have my hair and say the right stuff. I even tried to impress my Bible study leader. Yeah, Debbie Keever. We'll talk about that one later. If she gets on here. So I really hated recovery. I really hated it. I did. I didn't, it was always, I always felt less than you know, everybody else. It didn't matter if someone had a really hard time growing up, I still felt like I was less than, and yeah, that's just kind of like, and I think I still feel like that sometimes,
Yeah.
just
I think we all
not
do
enough.
sometimes.
I do, but like I said, I can get very into my head but I know when I'm starting to head there because let me put this in a very nice way, is I refuse to let myself sit in my depression. I refuse to let that happen because I've got family, I've got all these other people, but it doesn't matter. I've got me. And if I'm not who I need to be and I'm not in tune with, okay, I have to be responsible for my actions, for myself, and for my thinking, then I've lost it,
Hmm.
there. That's the best way to be who you are, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. The old mental relapse. The mental relapse starts before the
Yes.
drugs do.
Yes, exactly. The emotional. The
Yeah.
emotional. I was an emotional basket case from the time I left the womb, probably until like about 3 or 4 years ago. So I've been clean about 6 years, but it wasn't until the last 3 or 4 years that I was actually doing the work. I was actually doing that. I had gone to a church and it was kind of cultish, and that really messed with my head a lot. But it took about a year to deprogram. Now, yeah, that's something I haven't shared online. Yeah, y'all get to know that. Yes, for the first time. Yay, let's just put it all out there. Sandy went to a cultist church. That's right. That's what I done did.
There you
Um,
go.
but while we were there, it's kind of crazy, but I had my feet washed and someone just said, I know you need to know that you are being seen. Of course, that was kind of creepy. But the thing is that I was afraid because I was such a chameleon. I was afraid that people were going to find out who I really was and then leave. That's was my biggest fear. And all these people started coming up and putting their arms around me and giving me gifts and stuff like that. Yeah, now that I look back at it. But it was a big moment for me. And then being in that church and getting out of it, my daughter and I were actually, oh, this didn't work for us. This was wrong. This is not should have happened. And then having to do a lot of humble pie. There were a lot of times that I wouldn't listen to certain Christian songs, great songs, but I wouldn't listen to them because we sang them a lot in that church. And yeah, I turned that radio off and off a lot of the time, so
Yeah.
uh,
Well, that's, you got to protect your own sanctity as well, you
you,
know?
you do. Yeah. And I had to give it up. It's just like, I got to let go of the guilt. And it took me a lot of praying, a lot of crying, and going into denial. I did a lot of denial, just trying to like pretend it wasn't happening, even when we were there. I don't know, y'all. I just like did a lot of denial, I think most of my life,
Yeah.
and now I can't do that because I've got like all these people that are watching me on lives, and I really can't do that because, y'all are really good at knowing who the real people are and who they're not. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just kind of,
No denial around here.
nope, nope, you're not going to let me. And then that's what I need. That's why I need, the recovery community. Like I know I didn't go like through my whole testimony and everything like that. And y'all just got like little bits and pieces. But I'm just gonna assume that those bits and pieces are what y'all needed to hear. Because wow, I'm starting to sound like my own video. So Maddie, this is your show. So I am really sorry
No, you're doing great. You're doing great.
Yeah.
But we are over an hour, so let's
Yeah,
see.
I think so.
Well, go ahead and talk about your page for a minute here, and let these guys know where to find you, and then
Okay, great.
we will say goodbye.
Okay, you can find me on Abundant Recovery in Jesus. There it's not a group, so y'all can't post every single thing you want. That page is on me and all the time. But it's, you want to find that there. Like I said, it's a page. You can go onto it. The whole thing behind it is let's educate. Let's get to know each other. Let's move on and be a strong force, because we are invincible people. And that is, that's something that we need to do. And no matter what you're calling your higher power or anything like that, we all still need to keep going, and is that ambulance on your side or mine?
That's on my side.
That's on your side. So yeah, that is my page, and there are devotionals once a week. There was 2, but I couldn't handle it because there's too much on me, so I had to not do that anymore. So I've got devotionals on Thursdays from 12:30. They're very short ones because I have a very short attention span, and I'm guessing some of y'all do too. So it's short, sweet, and to the point. And I'm doing educational on Narcan this week or next week. I have to look at it. And let's see, I've got Debbie Keever. She's not in the recovery community, but she was my Bible study leader. But also she had an incredible women's ministry to the prisons. So, we're going to bring that in so people can find out more of what it's like. And then Patrice is the 24th at 7:30. Yes, I know you're there. Yes. So she's coming on. So that's pretty much
Awesome.
what I've got going. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for it, and I'm excited for this devotional you're doing this week. I'll definitely be tuning in. I'll probably be catching the replays because I imagine I'll either be live or at work at that time when you go live. But that's okay. I'll definitely be watching the replays. Cool. So thanks for coming on tonight, Sandy. It was awesome getting to know you, and I hope you have a beautiful night.
Yep, I will. You too, y'all.
We'll see you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Well, there you have it, guys. The Point of Change meets Sandi Miller. Thanks for coming by and hanging out with us. I absolutely love talking to Sandy. I've talked to Sandy a few different times. Like she mentioned there, we had a FaceTime when she first became a supporter of mine. She had some questions about making live videos and stuff like that, and she got a hold of me. And I'm more than happy to share my experience on making these videos, because the way I look at it, I don't look at somebody else making live videos as competition. I look at it as she's going to have a different message than me. She's going to reach more people, not necessarily more people, maybe more people, but she's going to reach different people that I don't reach, and I think anybody doing anything in this world to spread a little positivity and a little happiness and a little information, that's just a beautiful thing. So I try to help anybody. So anybody out there that wants to come on here and share your story, or if you would like to talk to me about how to start making live videos or how to become a motivational speaker or any of that stuff, or talking about recovery or whatever you want to reach out to me about, guys, the send message button is right on my page. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your evening, and I will see you tomorrow morning right here on the Point of Change at 10 a.m. Central. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay clean.